The other one was over the donation side of it. Just basically so that way, if a station has their own donation account, they purchase something, they notify us and give us a receipt so we can log it on inventory and the county can cover it on our insurance. That was the only request that I put in there. Like I said, we discussed all these policies. Everybody was good with them. I just wanted to make you guys aware that this is what we've done. Just kind of protect them guys, basically Seward, with their stuff if they buy something.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an accountability for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, we worked real hard on our inventory throughout the county fire department, so we have a good idea that what we do and don't have. And then one other thing we did implement is just a paper trail of written requests for equipment. If a department needs something, we've got it in writing so that we can keep that, and there's a better line of communication rather than, while we're on a fire, they say, well, we need this. Well, we're busy at the time, we forget about it, just so we have paper trail.
Yeah.
There.
So does this, on the donations, the standard operation guide, does it have a number? Or
No,
do you need one?
well,
Or do you even need anything?
I don't know if we really need anything. We just attached, like, it would probably be like 303. We just didn't get it put in there.
Okay.
We've got a whole list. We've got, there, it actually starts out in the 100s. 100s, 200s, and 300s on all of our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this would just go in there with it. But I didn't put one on there because I didn't have the rest of them there to see which one it was. So. But like I said, everybody, we discussed all of them and everybody was good with it. So I just kind of wanted to keep you guys updated.
Sounds good.
We don't have to take any action on this, do we?
So
That'll work.
outside of that, that's about all I've had.
I got one question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody's supposed to have burn permits and call-in burns. And then I know a few times, you know, you guys have sent a bill out to people, you know, that either hasn't called in a burn. When you have somebody that doesn't call in a burn, like the other day, there was smoldering round bales.
Mm-hmm.
So the neighbor drives by down the road a day later. I don't know whether that person had a burn permit the day they lit them on fire or whether they didn't, but it gets paged out. I mean, so everybody on the volunteer fire department jumps off what they're doing and runs the fire department and runs down there and then starts squirting water, and he pulls up and goes, well, I just assumed you guys let those round bales smolder out. So then everybody packs up and goes back to the department. So then on your next time the fire gets paged out, I mean, and you're busy strip tilling or planting or something like that, you're wondering, well, is this actually a fire? Or is this just, so when people either, I don't know how you do that when they start a fire and it's gonna be smoldering for 3 or 4 days? I mean, is that,
Well, by
that person's
burn
fault?
regulations, you are to remain on scene until that fire is completely out.
Yeah,
Or, you know, notify dispatch, you know, hey, it's, old hay bales are gonna sit there and smolder. I think there's some communication problems sometimes between the person burning and dispatch. I know just the other day, they got paged to a fire up north in some corn stalks. They said, well, there's no record of controlled burn, but he called it in the day before and it was just smoldering from the day before. We sent trucks, but they supposedly didn't show anything in dispatch that there was a controlled burn up there.
yeah, that's the one I'm talking about,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it is that stuff does happen. I don't know, it seems like this year's by far the worst of people not calling in before they burn.
Yeah.
I've been on the phone and been to a lot of different places because, you know, some of them, they're burning mud holes out in green, wheat ground. But they never just called it in, you know, and then somebody driving by sees a fire out in the middle of the field and they call it in, and you get down there, well, there's somebody there. They just refuse to call it in.
Yeah.
They need to realize, I mean, that affects your volunteer fire department when you get called out to a fire. So, I mean, I would be in favor of anybody that lights fire. I mean, it doesn't need to be a $12,000 bill, but it needs to be a bill. It needs to get to where people call in when they're having fires.
Right, and typically what I do, I've done it to the one guy down south, you know, he was burning in a green wheat field, burning mud holes out. And I just told him, I said, you have to call in. I said, this is your only warning. I said, next time, you're gonna get billed for it. Now, we didn't respond down to it. Sheriff's Department was actually just close by, and they stopped and found out who it was and called me, and I talked to him on the phone and explained it to him. So, but, I mean, it's getting to the point that we're gonna have to start sending out some bills just to make a point known to people, yes.
Did you sign it?
If it continues.
Yeah, dispatch is open 24/7. There's
Everybody's
really
got
no-
a cell phone.
There's really no excuse to.
And that's the other thing, I think a lot of people, when they get a burn permit, they sign it, date it, and turn it back in. They don't read it, they don't, and it outlines what they're required to do by state law. And that's all we do, is we adopt what the state puts out as far as doing a control burn. And then they think that, you know, well, we got a burn permit, we'll just light it on fire, we don't have to call it in. So, but, yeah.
No, I think that if they have a burn permit and they don't call it in and you're dispatched, I think they're subject to fine.
And they are, and I don't have it in front of me, but I think it's a $250 fine for failure to comply with control burn regulation.
Because it's probably costing the county that much just to send somebody out. Or send a truck and a crew.
I mean, depending on your response, I mean, it could easily cost you bare minimum $250. I just don't wanna get to the point that people think that, you know, we're picking on people or whatever, you know, and you guys start catching a lot of,
Well, it's not our rules.
right, it's
Yeah.
not, it's not.
Yeah, those people need to realize, I mean, the guy that's burning off the mud holes in the green wheat field, that there's no way it's gonna get out of control. They're not getting penalized because we thought it was gonna get away, it's because the volunteer fire department that showed up,
Right.
that took off work, quit doing what they were doing to get there to find out he's gonna go, well, no, let's go ahead and let it burn.
Right.
Cause that is kinda aggravating.
And you get people, you know, if there's a fire a mile off of 50 highway or 281 and somebody driving by sees a big old flame, you might have 15 calls to dispatch if there's a big fire down there and they don't see anybody.
Yeah.
You know, they don't take the time to drive down and see, and it gets called in and then we respond to it. Because it's not noted on their log that there's a control burn there,
Yeah.
so.
Okay,
That'll work. Thank you, guys.
thank you.
Okay.
Amy's coming at 9. Minutes? No.
No tax roll, right?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the April 14th, 2021 meeting.
Second? You caught me by surprise.
It's
It's been moved and seconded, we adopt the minutes of April 14th. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
You guys wanna talk about this office space agreement? The number one was basically the only thing changed from the original, right, Nita?
Yes.
It just says a portion of the west side of the annex, inclusive use of office space and shared use of kitchen and meeting room. That's really the only thing.
Number 2, I added that last sentence.
The kitchen and meeting room space will be available for use by extension district number 21 and the public on a reservation basis, which shall be county clerk's office.
Is that the way you want that?
Yeah.
And you're fine with that? I mean, if somebody wants to use the annex room or the main room, they just call and you put it on the counter?
Yes.
My only concern with doing that is the room between the extension office and that room, that door is an exit. And so I think when you have a public room, it has to have 2 exits. I don't know whether we can lock that door or whether we'll need to put a push bar on there that basically says alarm will be sounded if you open it.
You mean the door coming into their office?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the east.
It locks from the inside, from the big room to the offices, right? Or no. It locks from the outside. So you can lock the big room out of the offices, but you can't lock the offices out of the big room, basically,
Yeah.
the way the bar is. But we could put replace the inside of that push bar. It's one of those doors that you push, like this one that comes in here. And we could put that and then just wire up a little alarm right there that says basically when they could arm it and lock it, and then if you push it open.
Then if there's a fire, they could still have 2 exits out of the deal.
You okay with this?
Could you
Glenn?
reverse it? It's,
Well,
what
I
you're talking
think-
about is a crash bar?
Yeah, and I think the issue, I think you could reverse it or put a different type of lock on it, but the issue is I think the fire marshal
Is the fire code?
would be upset about having a public room with only one exit.
Yeah.
You'd probably have to do the same thing. Is the front door to the reception area coming from the lobby? Is there a crash bar on it?
I would bet you I would bet you from that room, even if all the doors are locked, if you're coming from the inside out, they all would open to keep from being
Yeah.
locked into the building.
Because
Are you good?
there'll be 2, right? One to the meeting room and one to the reception area.
Yeah, and then from the reception area. Outside.
Outside.
Yeah.
And I would assume that we'd probably, on that back door for people that was wanting to use it, the back door, would they just need to come and get a key from you? Okay.
That's what they do for the front door here.
I was gonna say put a keypad back there, but then I think getting the key would be the best.
Yeah, because they'd forget the code.
Well,
They forget the code, and after everybody uses it, you'd have to change it. And,
Yeah.
I mean, no.
Yeah, key codes don't work very good.
And I honestly don't think that many people use their back room.
No.
So I think Amy needs to, the extension needs to find a place for the stuff that they have stored in there, that they need to realize that's gonna be a community room. And then the janitor will probably need to start cleaning in there.
Mm-hmm.
So do we need to notify her, or,
You guys can tell her.
okay, if you wanna put her on the agenda for next week, we can.
Sure.
Are you good with this, Clint?
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve the K-State Research and Extension Office space agreement.
Second.
You don't put the date? 21st,
Yeah, 21st of April, 2021.
okay. It's been moved and second, we adopt the K-State Research and Extension Office Space Agreement as of the 21st day of April of 2021. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
This one, please.
What else do we have?
Nothing until Amy
Oh,
gets
board-
in.
Board members, you guys wanna do that?
Yeah, that's
Do you want
fine.
to talk to them about your conversation?
I can.
Well, I just think they need to go
We'll go into executive session.
there.
Attorney-client, 5 minutes.
10.
Okay. I make a motion that we go into executive session for 10 minutes for attorney-client privilege, including the county attorney, Nita, and the commissioners.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second, we go into attorney-client privilege for 10 minutes or whatever. I can't sign a check and talk at the same time.
The whole multitask
It's been
thing.
moved and second, we'll go into executive session for attorney-client privilege. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Back into session.
I make a motion that we go into executive session for
Attorney-client.
attorney-client privilege for 5 minutes.
Second.
Been moved and second, we go into attorney-client session for 5 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
My name's Amy Boxberger. I'm with Central Kansas Community Corrections. And Community Corrections is a state and local partnership. Our money comes from the Department of Corrections grant, and then it's funneled down. We are considered Barton County employees. We cover Barton, Rice, Ellsworth, Russell, and Stafford counties. And so every year I submit a comprehensive plan which kind of sets out the goals and objectives. They tell us what our money is going to be. It kind of comes funneled through Barton, and then we're in each of the courthouses in the outlying counties. And so we supervise adult felony offenders. So instead of going to prison, they come on with us. And so our goal is for them to, we have no more than 25% of our closures go to prison. And so all of our goals and our strategies are trying to change lives that, and old behaviors, and then that in turn makes our community safer. So we work with the prosecutors, and sometimes they can get frustrated with us when we are looking to, like, what can we do? Because a lot of times when everyone who reads those papers, what? Well, you read the paper and you see those names, and who's typically very shocked at the names that are in there, right? You've known them to be people that are in trouble with the law, maybe their family was, there can be succession of that. So when we're really trying to work with them, it's not something that, because somebody on Black Road told you needed to do, that they typically are ready to do it. So we have to use a lot of different strategies and cognitive change stuff so that they can have consequences, but then try to learn from them and move on. So this year, I have a little, this is kind of a flow chart of like what the grant is, just a logic model. And so we look at what our last completed fiscal year was, and then see what the trends were for those completing supervision and how they completed. So we had 202 closures in fiscal year 20, which our year runs from July to June. And we had 102 of those people that were truly successful. So they met everything except some of them might not have met their financial obligations. That's something that's been in the works of changing a little bit more, because what we're finding out is, like, you can keep people on forever. If they don't have money, they just don't have money. And a lot of those...
They're doing everything else fine.
Right,
They just
and so
don't
we've
have money.
talked to the judges about And we used to discharge those unsuccessful, but then we're trying to shift that into, if it's not a willful non-payer, you know, they've got the means to do it and they just don't, we're trying to discern the difference between those. So that's kind of shifting. So, but what we know is that the people that are higher risk are the ones that are more likely to go to prison. Not a shocker. So we're really trying to concentrate our efforts on those level 1 and 2 in our risk assessment. Right now, the state of Kansas is going through a lot of transition. We have, the first is our database is changing. That was morphed over this last weekend, and it's been a nightmare, as you can probably imagine with that stuff. So we're gonna go to a new system, and then also we're changing our risk tools, one that did men and women to one that is, it's a risk level assessment that we'll just do for the men, and then we also have a women's specific called a WARNET, it's a women's risk need assessment tool. So then we're starting to bring in what's trauma stuff, what are parental stress, all of those things. So then we can start to see like really what are the cause of stress, because if you can imagine, not always, but more likely for women, they are kind of, you know, if there's something that happens with a man and a wife, and then typically she's kind of piggybacking on the partner of what, and a lot of those consequences too. So we're trying to discern a lot of that stuff through the assessment tool, and then plug them into, you know, maybe they need more parenting classes, we'll send them to juvenile services. They need some trauma stuff, we'll send them to Family Crisis Center for, we've been working with them on changing a curriculum to deal with specifically with trauma and substance use and all of that stuff. So it's as much as it's, you know, in the midst of change, it's kind of, ugh, but like beyond that, I can't wait, like fast forward, you know, 3 years and see where we're at. But so anyway, our grant is also encompassing a behavioral health grant. We used to have 2 separate applications, but this, so for the last page of the book, I just called it Slicky Pages, and Russell, and they made fun of me. So, but it kind of breaks down the different grants that we have. And so the behavioral health grant, we're requesting $55,350. Now that's going to help pay for indigent services, for behavioral health services. We also want to partner with our local mental health and substance use disorder programs so that they can do some peer mentoring. And then also, then with the Kansas Department of Corrections, that KDOC grant, the $510,344.18, that's what they've already determined that they'll allocate us. And so that will cover the, you know, wages, benefits, and operations for the agency. And just, I had another county that asked, you know, well, what's the cost effectiveness of your program? Well, the Department of Corrections for the prison system, in fiscal year 19, their state budget was $220 million. And the overall for community corrections was $20 million. So, and then for our agency, it's usually around $500,000. And we have between 275 and 300 offenders that we serve. So it's under $2,000 a year that it costs to work with one of our offenders. So definitely a cost-effective program. And so then we'll also partner with, we're doing a lot with mental health and a contract with them to do cognitive change, and we try to work in evidence-based practices. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell what we're doing. So if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer those, and if not, I would request approval to submit this to the state of Kansas.
In the past, Amy, you've talked about sometimes you didn't reach goal on a revocation.
Yes.
Did you meet it this year?
Yeah, well, the fiscal year 20, we actually smashed our goal, which kind of makes it, so we had like 19%.
Now your new one's higher.
I know, it's,
Yeah.
now it's 19% revocation rate, and the goal was 25. So yay, however now the goal is 3% better.
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
So you get to like, there's like a sweet spot of when you get to enjoy the success, and then reality comes of, you know, and the other harsh reality was, and that was part of my, I don't know what, my expectations were you meet your goal and then you get rewarded with more money, and that didn't happen. So there's that, and that took me a lot longer than the sweet spot to get over.
So you get penalized for doing it.
Yeah,
Feels like it sometimes,
Yes.
but you know, at the end of the day, I mean, I am proud of the supervision that we get. I think we have a culture that, of positive change, and, you know, we're in that community where we know each other, you know, and even if we don't, we see each other in the streets, or, you know, at Walmart, or at the store, you know, and so when they're doing well, that does create a change in the trajectory of what you expect for their kids. So there's that. I'm trying to remember sometimes.
Well, you know, I remember years ago, you brought down an individual. That was really
I need to do that again.
ground zero for him.
Mhm.
How he had progressed back and was back among the society and was contributing, and he was thankful for your services. And that's been a few years ago.
Yeah, it is.
But I would think it would be helpful to have.
It is, and we, you know, I was telling a gal yesterday, she was kind of new to coming on, and said, you know, we're here to help you. We're not gonna, you know, what can we do to eliminate this pain that you have, you know, and so, and that build that confidence that they can be a contributing member, that they can walk with their head held high, because the shame that they have from everyone knowing and not being surprised, and that's a big burden for people to carry. So, once we get through that stuff.
You might not be able to answer this, but do you think, you know, the core organization, is it helping you
Yeah,
and your clients?
what it does is that it creates good models for people to see in everyday life, you know, because a lot of times, especially people in poverty, if you've gone to any of the stuff, you realize everyone's speaking different languages. I know that's what's changed. Rebecca Lewis Pankratz, she helped with develop, or get things boosted through ESDAC in these areas, but she did a hidden rules training for us even just a couple of months ago, because we forget, like, we in middle class are very achievement based. We check the boxes, we pay the stuff, we have all this, and that is not what drives their motivation. Their motivation is by relationships. And so how do we, I mean, when people first come in, we have to do a lot of trying to build relationships of trust, trying to build relationships that we believe in them, and, you know, and then connect them with people. So what the core does, then it creates even more models of people that have overcome adversity and make those connections. And so you see that, of course, more in smaller communities. But yeah, I believe in it.
Good.
It was a good refresher for us to do the hidden rules, because even from that youth's perspective, us working with the youth and the families, the example of achievement is very big. And so with the pandemic, we have seen an increase in truancy. And so then when you have then that gap with the pandemic, and then that lack of achievement inherently because of how they're being brought up, it's hard to get them to buy in to return back to school. You know, and the unfortunate part, you know, our mindset, my mindset goes to, well, if they're not in school and doing something constructive,
What are they doing?
what are they doing?
Yeah.
And so it was very valuable for us to really,
Turn it all back to, how can this provide a better world for your mom? How can you contribute more to the bills? How can, that would help, you know, take the stress off of mom? How can, you know, or to care more for your cousin's husband, sister's wife, that they consider family, you know, it's
Right.
just like all of those, I sat in a workforce meeting, they were talking about Eco Devo, and then they were talking about the, trying to get people, like, they have all of these programs and certificates, if they would do this certificate, and then they would, which didn't really mean anything, a certificate. Well, for somebody, that has certificates on my wall, that I'm achievement based, but they are not. They don't care about that. They care more about, getting the money or to help out,
Do you want
so.
me to leave school to take you to an appointment? Oh, okay.
Right, I mean, how can I help you?
Yeah.
So, it's just a mindset that I thought, I'm not even gonna bring this up, they need to bring, there's not enough time, but anyway.
And basically, this is just a request or approval for you guys to apply for the grant.
Yeah, and then, it's just showing the state and local partnership. I come around April, then I'll be back again in usually September to tell you how we did on our last, just to keep the conversation going. If you ever have any questions, if you ever see something that you wish we were doing differently or complaints, give me a call and we'll see what we can do, so.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve South Central Community Corrections Comprehensive or do we just do Plan FY '22?
Yeah, the comprehensive plan and behavioral health requests, that would be amazing.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the Community Correction Comprehensive Plan, FY '22 and behavioral health request. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Great, and then I can just have your signature. Oh, and then one other thing, sorry. Shannon Snyder, it serves on our board, and I emailed her this morning to say like, hey, can I ask them to continue your, I haven't heard back from her. We've had some, because obvious reasons, pandemic, health department nurse. She's busy, but she typically responds by email when I need her email vote or appears by Zoom. And so I would ask that her appointment be, or she be reappointed to our board representing Stafford County. And then if she has any problems, I'll contact you and see if we can come up with another person.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. I make a motion that we reappoint Shannon Snyder to the Central Kansas Community Corrections Board.
Second.
Motion's been made, we reappoint Sharon Snyder for the Community Correction Board. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, and then my name,
I'll take these back, I'll recycle them and
Okay.
maybe I'll send you the signed
Okay.
when it's done. Thank you.
my name is Marissa Woodmansey, and I am the Director of Juvenile Services. And so our allocations look just a little bit different, and so that's that top sheet if you want to see how our allocations have come down this year. The prevention and graduated sanctions, the $33,157.82 and the $602,690, those are the same that they have been for the last 5 years. And so we are in year 5 of our juvenile justice reform. And so when I share with you our data is starting to trend in the manner that the legislators wanted when they did the reform. And so then the new component of budgeting and funding is that third component, which is the JCAB fund allocations. Every fall, we have to do a report back to the legislators, letting them know what are risk areas for our community. And last year, I did not apply for the funds because it was very hard to visualize how we were going to meet outcomes or objectives at the beginning of a pandemic. And so I did not apply, but I did this year. And so, but that's what our allocations look like from the Kansas Department of Corrections Juvenile Services. So, the graduated sanctions programs is statutorily required to have 4 programs: intake and assessment, intensive supervised probation, community case management, and then the diversion. The diversion is that new component that came with the reform. Prior to that diversion being written into the statute, again, back to a financial component, we had a lot of juvenile offenders that were in group homes and shelter or detention facilities at the cost of about $40,000 a month. And that was just for one youth. So think about it, if one youth was in detention or a group home or whatnot, that expense to the totality of the state. And so that's why in the juvenile justice state block grant allocations, they have those monies in an evidence-based program fund, specifically like 42 million. Legislatively speaking, they're still up in the air as to whether or not the governor gets her request for all of it, or what the budget presented right now is 21 million and 21 million. So, but even then, I'm still going to ask for the 160 because that's what's been allocated for us. So in the context of intake and assessment, we respond to law enforcement calls 24/7. And for Stafford County, I did go ahead and just look at a little bit of numbers. We usually average about 500 intakes a year. We are on target to meet that. And really in the last 3 months, we have been at well over 60 plus intakes. And that's really hard and trying for our staff. Especially when you have February in there and there's only 28 days, and so that's a lot of, it's a lot of children being processed, so. But for Stafford, just up to March 25th,
What
we had.
page are you on there?
This is my data.
Oh,
I just
okay.
did it quick, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
But we had 16 come through intake, one of which was a crossover youth, identified as both a child in need of care and a juvenile offender. And then from those 16, we did have to go to the detention facility. And the reason why they went to detention was, one was an out-of-state runaway from Florida, if you guys signed off on that detention bill. And then the other one was criminal damage to property and aggressive towards law enforcement. And so actually, I do recall both those cases. I came up at 5 a.m. for the one. And then the one from Florida was.
This was 16 for 2020, or for the one, okay,
That's what you're currently at.
good.
And so, but the interstate compact youth that are from other states, they always go to detention because then we have to wait for the state to make contact with us as to how to process and get them back to their originating state. So that's just statutorily guidelines as far as why that youth went to detention. And that, like I said, she was from Florida. Met somebody over in Maxville and was gonna live with them, I guess. So.
I haven't heard about it.
Do you remember? I was just like, met him online, gonna be best friends. So with intake and assessment, you know, our block grant isn't as necessarily as comprehensive, but it just looks at, you know, are we doing the notice to appears? Are we in every single county responding to law enforcement calls? And we are. The next program that we have is the immediate intervention, and that should be tabbed for you, like on page 16. And this kind of goes back to that quantifying your numbers on page 20. For FY20, we had 131 youth go through our diversion program, of which 118 were successful. And so only 13 were unsuccessful, giving us a 90% success rate with that diversion. And so seeing the number increase right here at diversion is really what the reform was intended to do, and so that we could get them at an earlier intervention and not progress in the justice system. And so this number of 130 is going to be a flip-flop than what our intensive supervised probation, and those numbers are on page 24. And so for FY20, we had 25 youth that were on intensive supervised probation, of which 2 were not successful, giving us a success rate of 92.59. So I just mentioned those percents because as Amy has 3%, we have to increase by 2%. So then it's like, 92 is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, can I just get a?
I think you would, as a community stakeholder, would wonder how well you're doing your job if everyone's successful.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
And the
because
higher
not-
you get,
Yeah.
you know, the
I
more they
mean-
move the
It's kind of
goalposts.
penalizing you for doing a good job.
Well, and, you know,
They should set a ceiling at that. If you make it to 90, you're
hey,
good.
you know, like your exceeds expectations, like across the board, you know,
Yeah.
there should be some, in my opinion, could be some ranges of like, oh, why, what's going on? But really, prosecutors driving the bus on all this stuff.
They were throwing you under the bus, Mike, while you're
Yes.
gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, because we've had kids, and I didn't know how much until we had, you know, Mike came on board, Levi Morrison, Barton, Paul Casper, and Ellsworth. You know, we had all of these shifts, like, you know, staggering, but it was just interesting to see really the culture changes based on the prosecutor. And especially, it takes a few years for them to get their kind of land legs. Or, would you agree with that? I'm not trying to, but it does, you might come in with thinking that there's an agenda to, everyone should go to prison. And we also had, Judge Hipp was brand new too. And so there was just it's the culture. It's interesting to watch it then as everyone kind of settles in. And then, of course, we had pandemic, so then I don't know how real our numbers are. So
when we come back next year, it looks vastly different.
Well, and now you got Judge Barron, who's
Yeah.
brand new.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
We have no idea how,
And just from the background of it, when you come from an attorney, are you looking at, is there more give on the side of the, I don't know, it'll be interesting. So that's what keeps it interesting.
Well, and even with
every
the,
day's a new day.
Every day's
with the
a new day.
reform, there's been a lot of law changes that have made, it's like, okay, this is what we're doing within the scope. Because then even then that 25 that are under that intensive supervised probation, back on page, I think 24, is that with those numbers? Yeah, 24. The component is even though there's only a small percent that are going to the correctional facility, they're still going. Like right now, we have 2, with one getting ready to get out. And one of the new adjustments with the reform is there is no aftercare. You don't have to write in aftercare, which then unfortunately for Amy is then, if we don't have that oversight, once they get out of a confined space and you have that newfound freedom, sometimes it's a quick, here's your new case, because that's real, and especially in that 18 to 25 population for her. So that's the bulk of the state block grant. As far as the JCAP fund allocation, one of the gaps that we identified with the risk tools that we use is the increased risk area with education, leisure and rec, and then the other component of education is employment. And so what I wrote in for was a program advocate to kind of help shore up for us a designated person to make sure that we are getting the necessary programs for our clients. And the other component that brought this up is under the ISP, the Intensive Supervised Probation. So with the for that population, we only supervise the very high risk offenders. And one of the things with the reform is a shortened overall length limit of sentence. And so whether that's 6, 9, 12, or 15, there is no longer a life sentence for a juvenile for those probation terms, even if there's a revocated state. And so for that very high risk offender, they've quantified that population needs 175 program hours. Well, if they're in school and they're working, how do we fit in 175 program hours in 6 months' time or 9 months' time? I mean, I don't know. That's the challenge that I have for next year, and that's what I wrote this position in. So the 160,000, a lot of it goes to personnel benefits. But then I've also put in there that education lab or technical lab, so then that way I can alleviate that barrier for kids that are getting expelled or truant. We'll have that set up for them to be able to come and do school on site as a day reporting center. But then they can also do job search, resumes, anything else that we deem appropriate. Cognitive evidence-based curriculum to include the mental health or substance. Kind of like that one-stop shop is what's in my mind. And hopefully to be able to create for them. So that is the big bulk of the grant. I did want to give you just a quick update with our parent project, which we did with our reinvestment dollars. A new grant is not required for that. I did have to prepare a new budget. And it's the same funding that we've received because it was a 3-year grant. And so those reinvestment dollars also came from this reform. And we did the parent project. And the parent project is an evidence-based curriculum. It's 10 weeks long. And let me see if I don't know.
Right here on this deal where it says JD, I imagine that's judicial district. What district is Stafford County?
20th. We're the
Okay.
20th. Yeah.
And that includes us, Barton, Ellsworth,
Rice. and
Rice.
So we're in a pretty big district.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there just a little bit of Pawnee or Edwards in it too?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
We'll provide cognitive services for them because they don't have it there. And if they ask us for the youth population, we will provide it,
Yeah,
because it's important. Because like Amy said, we see them in the community, they're here.
Yeah.
You know, we might as well provide the service.
yeah.
And that speaks also to the parent project. Let me see. I don't have this broke down by county, but I do know for a fact. So for our parent project, so we'll be finishing year 2, and I can pass this around. The thing that I like about this is we've had 72 total parents participate in the curriculum. And so again, it's a 10-week curriculum. We do it once a quarter, and I believe it was 32 of them were self-referrals. So those were 32 people in the community that were just like, I need help with my child because this is not going well. We did have referrals from the school, St. Francis, DCF. Even though it's open to the courts to make the court order, we have not had any, and I really kind of prefer that because we want it to be them. I feel like they will have better buy-in if they willingly come. We have had several parents from Stafford County participate, and so it's been very good to have them. We thought it was going to be a barrier with transportation, so we considered like fuel vouchers and things like that. Because it's 10 weeks long and it's 3 hours a night, you know, we provide meal, we're willing to provide transport, whatever is necessary. But all the parents from Stafford County willingly came up, and, you know, and really once you get.
Is that just one day a week?
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah, and really when you get to the end of it, you know, you've created your own little support group, and that's really what it's intended to do, you know. So again, you go back to that culture of hidden rules, and if you have people that are typically in a crisis, or, you know, who are they gonna call? They're gonna call their friend that's also in crisis, and that may not be the most sound advice if my child's being naughty, you know. And so now we all have done the same curriculum, we have the expectation. And, you know, it's good to see. And I think of even some of our higher risk parents that participated and still know the curriculum and follow through. So we're making good progress with this, so. Any questions I can help answer in regards to the state block grant or to the JCAB funds or just in general? And again, these are state allocated.
I don't have any questions, I'm good.
You just need our approval to apply for the grant.
To submit it, yes.
You ready, Clay?
Yep.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the Kansas Department of Corrections Juvenile Justice Comprehensive Plan Grant Application FY 2020. Is that correct?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We approve the application for the Kansas Department of Corrections Juvenile Services Juvenile Justice Comprehensive Plan Grant Application FY 22. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
All right. Get your signature right there. And then I do also have a new request for board member. We previously had Mr. Fisher, and he resigned.
Mr. Fisher.
Tom Fisher served on our advisory board. And I just reached out to anyone else as far as the law enforcement sector, and it was our sheriff had made the motion to approve Greg McAllister as the new representative. And so I don't know if that needs you guys' approval as well, or just knowledge or awareness, or that he attended our meeting and
Probably just awareness.
just awareness.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
okay with that. I mean,
Yeah.
As long as we don't need a motion, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Thank
ladies.
you.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.
Are you sure? I'll make more.
No,
Well,
that's
I
okay.
appreciate your guys' positive attitude. I mean, you have to have a good day every day or something to look forward to
For sure.
keep
It's
a
a new day, it's a new
positive
day every day, isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
attitude. Every day's a new day.
We don't know what we're gonna get,
Yeah.
so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So 10:30.
He comes from Garden City, so I have to schedule him
Yeah.
way out, so.
Did you need to talk more? How long, 15 minutes?
20, 30.
Let's see,
Make it
we've got
30.
till 10:30. Carol could go down to the store and do her grocery shopping.
20 minutes.
Yeah, 25.
I make a motion that we go into executive session for attorney-client privilege for 20 minutes.
Second.
Then move in second, we go in executive session for attorney-client privilege for 20 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We'll go back in session.
I make a motion that we approve, or that we appoint Brian Dunn and Brad Lickus to the 2-year terms for the Stafford County Extension Board, and Cody Dick and Remington Smith for the 4-year terms on the Stafford County Extension Board.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. We appoint Brian and Brad for a 2-year term and Cody and Remington for a 4-year term for the Extension Board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Carol, we're gonna recess.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
Y'all got the packet I see?
Yep.
Okay,
You
good.
all have it in front of you.
I always bring extra just in case, because it has happened that it didn't get here or it got here and it didn't get printed or something, so anyway, well, hi, good morning. Mark Hine, President of SDSI.
Mark,
And
I don't think you know our new commissioner, Brian Garner.
Bryce, Mark Hine.
Bryce Garner,
Nice to meet you.
You
Yeah.
would have to remember to introduce him.
Oh, they can read this.
We came,
Well, I was here for most of it
Were
last
you?
year, I just
Okay.
didn't meet them.
Okay.
You know, but I was sitting in on the meetings last year, so.
and we came here in 2004, Sunflower Diversified ceased to be the CDDO then, the Community Development Disability Organization. And that was a whole fiasco with Martin County and the other 4 counties around here, so we tried to calm it down, and I think we have, and the providers were, anyway, that's a whole another story. The first page here, page 1, is the who we are as Southwest Developmental Services, Inc., private not-for-profit 501c3. We serve, and if you have any questions, please stop me as I'm going through this thing. Sometimes I tend to go rather fast, and anyway, we serve 1,060 individuals in the 18 counties we serve right now. We use, in our local finance plan, that's what we use county money for, and we get state aid, and that $327,062 from state aid is the entire amount that we get from the state of Kansas, and we use that in that local finance plan. Now, that county money, we use some to supplement our budget, and you can see at the very bottom there that what we get for admin from the state of Kansas and then what we use from the counties. Finney County essentially asked us for page 2 there, and they just asked for any statute that might apply to the relationship between the county and the CDDO, and as this statute says, that the county can choose to do it themselves as a CDDO, or they can contract with an entity such as SDSI, a nonprofit corporation, to do, and Stafford County has chosen to do that. Page 3 is the meat of the packet, it's the request, and I always put this pretty close to the front of it, because I found in years past, I try to cover information, and I'd be looking up, and the commissioners were looking back, what's he asking for? Well, we just put this towards the front here, and this is what we have done when we put the 18, when we first started over here, there were 5 counties that the requests were made from the 5 counties here in a different manner, than what we did in 13 counties over in the southwest corner. And if you look at the 27 CDDOs, you'll probably have 27 different ways in which they ask for money. So we eventually brought all 18 together and we came up with this methodology. The middle column there, the $718,500, the total at the bottom, is approximately what we have asked for ever since we started this. It varies just a little bit, but not very much. And then the CDDO admin is a separate column over there that we ask for the work that we do. And you can see Stafford County for 2022, we asked for $32,907. You can then see the 2021, what the request was, and what the contracts are with each of the 18 counties that we serve. We get asked by some counties, have in the past, so we've added page.
What's this before the 2022 request, the request prior population?
The request per population.
Okay.
We use that percentage over there. If you look to the far left there, we use each county. The census from 2012 will come forward to 2020 when it comes out, but we use that population and ask. We use that 718,500 has been just a dollar amount that we have requested, and we kind of base that upon what we've been receiving at one point in time, and then we do that per population per county. Because I can tell you that population-wise, we used to do over in the 13 counties. We do it per head. Okay, we serve 6 individuals from Morton County, and we're asking so much per individual. And then next year we have 9 people. Well, that was the difficult part for the county because that didn't happen. But if we went from 9 to 6, that did happen. You know, because they definitely drop it because they could use my. You know, I know how tight it is. I know how you guys all been squeezed the counties and everything. So we went to this more of a population based, and the request now varies very little from year to year because we use that same dollar amount in that request for population, or approximately. I mean, it's very, like I say, slightly, but not very much. Does that answer the question? Mm-hmm. Okay. Page 4 is the counties that we serve and the individuals coming from those counties that are either living in that county or their county of origin. This is information that we got from the state of Kansas and the database they have. So I'm not going to vouch for that it's 100% accurate, but I think it's fairly accurate. And we've been asked this because, hey, counties want to know how many people from our county are getting services right now. And if you see Stafford County, they have 9 individuals. Page 5 is how we use the local finance plan money. You can see 2020, what we used it for, the adult services, the transportation subsidy, and then the Medicaid and eligible case management. And then you can see the 2021, what we have budgeted to spend this year. And for the most part, that transportation subsidy is, as you can see, it's the big ticket item that goes to our providers. And that money follows the individual. So in other words, in this area, if somebody is with Rosewood and decides they want to go over to Sunfire Diversified or Pathways Res Care, we get billed monthly from those providers for the number of individuals that they provide services to in that transportation. And I couldn't tell you exactly what the dollar amount is right now this year, but it's been, hey, around $120 for day and residential. Those dollars are to help them with their transportation. They take individuals, they shop it, and 2020, of course, has been a little limited in people getting out, and you all know that, but they'll take people out for shopping, excursion, recreational events, medical appointments, etc. So that helps them with those costs. Page 6 is the providers that we have, community service providers, and the city in which they're located. It does not mean that that's the only place they provide services. That's just where their offices are at. So they do, for the most part, as you all know, I think, Garden City, Great Bend, and Liberal are the 3 in our area that, for the most part, day residential services are provided. But there are services provided in the outlying counties as well. Page 7, this is the same thing I provided to you since we've been the CDDO in this county, in Stafford County. And the only thing that has changed on this from year to year is the number of individuals. We have approximately 1,060 individuals in our area. We have 578 that receive residential day and home supports, and 457 that receive case management only. And when I say approximately, I mean that because what just happened here, but after we put this packet together, the state of Kansas does a wait list offer. They send a wait list offer out to us. 125 individuals across the state of Kansas now are being offered services. We have 21 of those 125 in our 18 counties. So we're going through that process right now of working with those individuals in the state of Kansas to ensure that people know what's happening. And part of the problem is, it might have been 9 years ago that they actually asked for services to start. That's why our wait list, that's how long it is now. So they may have even forgotten that they did this. So anyway, we're working with those individuals, and I think 18 out of 21, at least at this point in time, we believe are going to take services, which, hey, if they need it, they better take it, because if you're willing to, you get put at the end of the list, well, you take it off the list if you decide not to take services now, and then you can reapply. So you go to the bottom, you'll see here in a moment, I think we have 4,522 individuals on that wait list statewide, and it is a statewide wait list. And it is determined from the date that you go under. The date is what is the thing that's how it's determined when you come up. There's nothing that we have that determines the severity, because we have individuals that are pretty mobile, rather high functioning, that still have needs, and sometimes those needs can be great, because sometimes we'll have an individual that is dually diagnosed, they have a mental health issue as well as a developmental disability issue, and those folks can be very difficult to serve. And then you also have the people that are very medically fragile, that need a lot of services, but they're also the ones that can't get around, they don't have the mobility, and they can be very difficult to serve. So we have nothing in place that determines that you should go before you because of this. It's the date, that's what determines it. Page 8 is mainly for Finney County and Surrey County, because we have had SDSI has projects that we've built back in the mid-80s to mid-90s, and we just want them to make sure they know that. Board of Directors, or an organizational chart here, we've got a board of directors, of which I need somebody from Stafford County. We have 4 meetings a year. We have the capability now to do Zoom. So, I mean, we had to do that when this COVID thing hit, because we didn't want to go out into the houses, into the day services, or into the residential areas and carry COVID out to a very vulnerable population. So anyway, we have Zoom, or Jerry Maddox was the representative here for a number of years, and he liked to drive over there, so that's fine too. We pay mileage, we have a meal because we meet at 6:30, and like I said, 4 times a year, quarterly meetings. And it's, we have a meal ready by 6 o'clock or so. So we have had CPAs, we've had bankers, we've had just business people, we've had family members. So it doesn't matter, we just need someone who is interested and is willing to serve. There's, come to those 4 meetings, or hey, if you want to from your home, get on a computer, and we'll invite you to a Zoom meeting, and you can participate that way. And we have done that the last 3 or 4 meetings now on the Zoom, because some folks have chosen not to come, and that's fine, and others have chosen to come. So anyway, with this, right now we have 10 full-time staff. We have 10 because in the Garden City office, Ashley Schultz, the admissions manager, you'll see 2 people there, Ashley Schultz, Justin Stevens. Ashley gave her resignation. She's going to be a stay-at-home mom, and she gave her resignation, but she gave us plenty of notice. She's not going to be gone till the end of May. We were able to hire somebody, which is great now, because we're getting him in, we have him there, and she's able to train him. And the other thing about that wait list offer I just spoke about is that doesn't happen that often. So the good thing about it is Justin, Ashley's walking him through it, and he's being a part of it. So hopefully next time it happens, he'll know how to do it on his own. Next page there, on page 10, you can see the applications received by year. I got asked this question on Monday. Why have those gone down? I have no idea. You can see 2020, we have 61 people who applied for services. When you go back to 2012, 134. What's happened? I don't know. And the bottom of the page there just goes with that wait list. As of March 9th to 2021, the state says there's 4,522 individuals on the wait list. In our area, there's 337. And when you look up there and you see the 2011, we have 8 people that applied back in 2011. And then years forward. I believe this latest wait list offer takes it into March of 2012. So a few months on it, but I'm gonna have to get those numbers so I can tell the counties as I go. I just didn't get it done this week.
So there's 4,000 people on the wait list, but there's only 10 people on the wait list in our area.
337. Those 10 people in 2021, they've applied for certain. What you have here is, we have 8 people on the wait list that applied in 2011.
Oh, so everybody on here is still
Yes,
on the wait
they're
list?
waiting, so you can see,
There's 10 new ones.
yes, 10 new ones this year.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so you
so there
can
was
see.
327 last year.
Yeah, it's a 9-year wait list at this point in time. If you applied today, I can tell you probably in 2030, at the rate we're going right now, you might get services.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's incredible. The thing about having a wait list though is we probably have more people on the wait list. If we had all the money today that we needed to provide services to 4,522 people, I guarantee you that 4,522 people would not take services. Because you think you might need, and this is what has happened, as their names come up, sometimes people decide, I really don't need them, don't want them. For whatever reason, it's a personal reason, it's, what's ever happened in their life. But if they think they might, they're encouraged by their case manager to get on that wait list. So, hey, how many it is, I don't know. Used to be somewhere in the 20-some% that people would not take it. But since the wait list has become so long, we're seeing a higher percentage of people take services when they're offered. The very last, well, not the last, you have a map there of the CDOs in the state of Kansas. We're number 21 there on the legend. 13 counties in southwest corner, 5 counties in central Kansas. And the very last page, I think you have this one. It's the board members. And again, I need somebody from Stafford County. If you know of anyone, or if I can speak to anyone, I was going to try to get out in 2020 to some of the chambers, civic organizations, and to the counties I need people from. And, I've lost a couple here just recently. The Barton County, Kenny Schwimmer was our board member, he passed away there. But anyway, I was going to ask the county, hey, if you know of civic organizations, I can go and talk to them, tell them a little bit about it, as what we do, and hey, we're in need of a board member, and here's what it entails. If you're interested, let me know. And of course, we'd like the county commission to know who it is too, so that you're okay with it. But if you know anybody, please let me know, have them contact me, whatever, and we can visit about that individual. I can visit about, hey, what we do and what's expected of a board member. They can't be an employee, they can't be an owner, they can't be a director of a current community service provider, because that'd be a huge conflict of interest, and we don't want that, we don't need that. And with that, I'll stand for any questions you might have.
So on the 9 clients that you guys have out of Stafford County, I know there's a lot more people that come out of Stafford County to go to Rosewood and Sunflower.
Right.
So on these 9 clients that they take care of up there, then they request for you to reimburse for their care. I guess I'm wondering, so everybody that goes to Sunflower or Rosewood for care or assistance, you guys don't reimburse for everybody up there. What's the guidelines? Why do you guys pay for some and not for others?
Well, what we do in this local finance plan that I was talking about earlier, this one here, it doesn't matter where they came from. So if they have 100 people in the month of March and they're billing us the first part of April, we're paying for those 100 folks. For the most part, most of everybody that we have in our system comes from the 18 counties we serve, for the most part, but not everybody. So, but we don't differentiate between that. So if I understand your question correctly, that's how we do this. And really, it's a way for us to get some money to providers. They have had some rate increases over the past 15 years or so, but they haven't had much. I can tell you at one point, it was over 10 years since it had a rate increase. And Barton County did ask a couple, 2 or 3 years ago of me, if we cut funding, what effect does it have on the providers? I said, well, I really can't answer that question. I need them to tell you. So I spoke with the 3 executive directors in the Great Bend area, and we got together, and they told me, and then we showed up. We scheduled a meeting with Barton County Commission. What I remember of that is that it was about 2% of their budget. This local finance plan was about 2% of all 3 of their budgets. And they'd have to look at, what are we gonna do if we get a 2% cut? Well, you start looking at, hey, whatever you gotta look at as an organization, what do you have as far as vehicles, what do you have as far as whatever else? We don't ask for a ridership, we don't ask for a bunch of paperwork from them because they got enough to do and so do we. So when we do this transportation, it's just understood, when we do quality assurance reviews on about 30% of the individuals. So what we're doing there is seeing it is the provider providing the services that are needed for that individual. And are they doing it in compliance with rules, regulations, policy, statute, and everything else. So we do that. We figure between that and we do an annual functional assessment for every individual in the system, that if they're having problems, we're gonna hear complaints. We've heard a few here and there, but not very many. And transportation is one that we've heard it 2 or 3 times in the past 15 years. And usually, it's not a taxi service. I mean, nobody can afford to do that. So, we will work it out between, sometimes the expectations are not in line with reality, and sometimes the provider, does need to step something up a little bit for an individual. So we don't look at the county, we give you that information just so you have that, but for the most part, most folks are from these 18 counties, or originated out of one of these 18 counties.
I guess what, I was thinking that when last time Sunflower had came in, that they'd said that they were servicing like 40 people out of Stafford County. Maybe
Well,
like-
Sunflower is different than this.
And Sunflower might be doing that with,
Sunflower is the children.
I was gonna say, they might be
So
doing the
this is
children.
adults.
That's
This is
adults.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So there's the difference, the
Yes.
adults and children,
Mhm.
okay.
And a
Yeah.
child, you could be eligible for the home and community-based service waiver, IDD, for IDD individuals at the age of 5. Now, sometimes they will, their functionality, between what Sunflower Diversified does on the children's and over in our area, in 13 counties, Russell Child Development Center, hey, you put money into the children's services, sometimes they're not in lifelong services with us. So at the age of 5, they may be eligible, but by the age of 13 or 14, maybe they're not, because they've gotten services and they've caught up with their peers, or they're to the point that they don't need these lifelong services. Yeah, that's the huge difference there. They do the children's services.
Okay.
And they come in and ask you for that, the recycling, they do, I think, do they do that with you guys too, or just Barton County?
They come in and do recycling,
Okay,
so.
Quite a bit of it.
Mhm.
because I knew they did that, and I know they do that, and the children's services. And John has stepped in, I think, done a really good job, John Prescott with Sunflower Diversified. I don't know if he's the one that comes in, or they got
Yes.
somebody from.
Yeah.
Is he? Okay.
What was it, like 80 some ton of recycling last year?
I
Yeah.
think so, it was a
Yeah,
lot.
it was impressive.
Yeah. We had, just to give you a little bit of feedback on the request, when you're looking at, Stafford County used to give about $60,000, if I recall correctly, somewhere in that neighborhood. When we went to this request for population, it took you guys down considerably.
It just basically puts everybody on a level playing
Yes.
field.
And
based
I
on
had board
population.
members that said, well, not very many, but I had a couple, because we had quite a debate over numerous board meetings before we finally settled on this process. And, well, if they're giving more, let them give more. And you're like, how do I go out and,
Yeah.
I'm the one that has to go out here and look you guys in the face and say,
Yeah,
yeah, hey, here's your share, but, continue to give us the 60,000.
yeah.
And of course, I've seen this over time and fully expect to continue to see it, that the county mill that we receive has it just dwindles a little bit each year. Last year, we had a slight loss, and we've had a couple of years where it's actually gone up 5,000 in total, but then we've had years where it's gone down 10,000. So, hey, I know you guys get pinched, I know there's all kinds of things going on, I know the state of Kansas doesn't help. I was, Pawnee County or Rush County, I was at Monday, one of those two, we were talking about the tax lid. And I said, the state of Kansas doesn't like DC telling them what to do, but they turn right around and do the same thing to the counties. I said, to me, the local governance is the best you can have because, hey, if the citizens here of Stafford County don't like what you guys do, they can vote you out. But the state of Kansas trying to tell you how to do your tax lid and all that stuff to me is just nuts. We've taken DC politics and brought it to Topeka,
Yeah,
and I don't like that.
it's worked well there.
Oh, yeah, real well, yeah. I probably shouldn't say anything else, although I may be preaching to the choir, I don't know. Well, and I'll say this too, that, any point in time, hey, the only time we ended up coming out is for budget requests, but if you ever have any other questions or concerns of any kind, call me, I'll come out, I'll talk to you on the phone, we'll do whatever we need to do to answer the questions you have, so. And they didn't recognize me at first, and when this COVID thing hit a few months ago, I'm like, I'm not shaved, well, I shaved, but not.
Yeah.
Saved on razor blades.
Yeah, I have, a bunch of money.
So you heading back to Garden City now?
I'm actually gonna head over to the Great Bend office,
Oh, okay.
visit with the staff we have over there. And we hired a new staff over there too. Rachel Dove, Brad Brock was their quality assurance manager there, or QA manager there, and he resigned to take on a different job back in first part of February. And Rachel Dove, we hired her as a QA manager, so. So I'd go visit her, and Andrea Jacobs is our eligibility manager there, so I'd go visit those two, take them out to lunch and see how things are going.
So where's that office located?
Right there on Main Street, 1103 Main Street, and it's right next to, it's actually an office complex area, but there's it's called like a gently used children's clothing store. It's the first block, you go one block off on Main Street, go north, the first block right there on the corner is the office building, and you go in the door that goes into numerous offices there, but I can't think of what they call that in the store. I mean, you would recognize it because it has like a big bear standing out front. They always put out front and a few other things.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
It's on the west side of
Yeah.
the street.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, and the other thing about it, we have if somebody didn't have the capability to do Zoom from their home for a board member, we have in the Great Bend office that we could open that up and have somebody sit in on the board meeting from there, so.
We could do it. Put Nita on the board, she just go over here and watch the.
Is that a 2-year term or 4-year term?
It's a 3-year term, and once you get on, you never can get off.
Yeah.
Not really, but, I mean, I have board members who've been on there for 20-some years.
Yeah.
I've been doing this county request since 1995, when I took over as an interim and then ended up as in this job permanently in 97. So I've had board members that if they weren't on then, they were on shortly after that. And I have some new ones too, so. And again, family member, business, somebody in the community who's just interested in serving, and it's not a lot of time. It might be an hour to 2 hours for each board meeting. And then if you're driving, the drive. But again, we pay mileage, and the mileage we pay is what the state of Kansas has in their book that they're paying for stuff. So it's like 50-some cents a mile. So.
And Jerry was on that for quite a few years.
Yes, he was. How is Jerry?
He's not.
So I hesitate even asking because I don't even know. I don't hear from him, and
He's had a lot of health issues.
yeah. He notified us when he had cancer. He had a tumor, he said, brain tumor. Oh, man. He had somebody in mind then, and I can't remember, it was a few months after that, after he resigned from the board, I reached out to him. And it was I kind of did it with some hesitancy because I had a name from him, but I never had any contact information. They never contacted me. So again, if y'all know of anybody that would be willing to serve. I have county clerks, I got family members, I got just people from the community that are interested. I've had a CPA, I've had bankers, so anyway. Need somebody willing to come to 4 meetings a year, whether it's by
that's in Garden
Zoom,
City.
whether it's by Zoom,
Yeah.
or coming to Garden City, yeah, so. Well, thank you so much, we
Okay,
appreciate
thank
y'all
you.
done,
Yeah, thank you.
and y'all have a good day.
You too.
You're not done, are you? The meeting?
Almost.
Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Chop,
I'm
chop.
glad I got here early.
Yeah.
Have a good day now.
Yeah, thanks. Anything else?
I've got AP here, I haven't looked at it at all.
You know, I do think that money is good, well spent money. It's something that, I mean, like, we have nine people out of Stafford County, and in Pawnee County, there's 29, and they pay less than what we do. I mean, I feel like there's some counties on here that have more than us, and they're just basically,
Well, if you look at this one here,
yeah. Or this one. They got 6, they pay 2,000, they got 11, they pay 5,000.
and say Barton really,
Yeah, if you figure that per capita, we're paying more than our share. I
Yeah.
mean, that's one deal where I would say it'd be nice if we could give them a little bit more, but then,
The other counties in County, yeah,
yeah.
but
I mean, I feel like we're paying them more to proportionate. But this guy does ask for an increase every single year.
he does.
Where's Cornejo Materials at? Is it up north,
no, Wichita.
Wichita?
It's at the Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they've been doing, it's all in rock, I think.
Yeah,
Hango.
looks like a load of AB3s. And 3/8 chips. 15 grand, 15.6.
For one load?
No,
Oh,
but it looks like on 4/6, they haul that much. Yeah, I see the trucks going up and down all the time on 281.
It's amazing.
They're
how-
going somewhere north
How many
though.
miles? They go up to Lincoln, or is it Lincoln they get something?
They get some from Lincoln. They used to get it from Florence, but it
They go to Illinois
came too
quite
Seen the
soon.
new dump truck on the road,
I haven't got a chance to see it yet. Do you know who got the new dump truck?
A heavy.
Hamby, yeah.
I bet he's just smiling here from here now.
Still got the new truck smell.
No, I don't think so.
Well, if we,
I think we can adjourn.
Yeah.
well, we can't talk after we adjourn.
We'll adjourn.